All right, well, I want to get started because we do have quite a bit of stuff to cover on the agenda, and this is being recorded anyway, so whoever is late can always revisit. So, actually, before I begin, I just want to make sure is everyone good? Do I need any questions before I get going? All good?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So here's the agenda today. Pretty standard agenda. This is going to be a recurring call. So this is the community call for the DAO. And so what we're going to do with these calls moving forward, we're going to do them weekly, and usually, based upon some of the action items from the previous call, we'll use this call to kind of go over some of the topics if they're outstanding, and then of course any additional topics that have been captured throughout the week, we will then talk about them during this call. So the whole point of this call, again, just to set the ground rules, is that this is the community call to build out the DeFi Montreal DAO. So that's kind of this is the purpose of this call. And so anyone who's participating in this call, that means you're basically interested in either being part of the leadership team of this DAO, contributing to the DAO, or being an early member. And all of them are going to have varying degrees of responsibilities and benefits. All right, so today's agenda, pretty straightforward. I've done some research and I've put together some small ideas that I'll talk about shortly here. And then we have a bunch of collected call topics that I do want to go over with the team that's on the call today, so that we can level set on some things. And then if we have any extra time, well, we should have extra time. I'd love to hear anyone else's ideas, because it's not just one person who's contributing here to make a DAO. Really want to hear what people have ideas about and where you want to move things, because that's the beauty of the DAO structure. There can certainly be multiple initiatives at any given time in this DAO structure. And in a few moments here, I'll talk about how I think, well, what we could do as one possible vision. But the beauty is that there's no reason why we can't arrange multiple subgroups, right, working on parallel things, tangential things that are complementary, that ultimately all float under the DeFi Montreal DAO brand or DAO community. Because the community part, in my opinion, is going to be the most important part. And this is what we can all do as people are in this call, is to begin to promote the community, because this is how it ultimately succeeds or fails. Is just like we had, a lot of folks on this call knew the prior meetup group that I was involved with. That's you really want to have a strong community, because it's the foundation for everything that happens afterwards. If we don't have a strong community and people are just kind of mercenary or just kind of kicking tires or kind of jumping in and out, then unfortunately there's going to be limited growth. So the more we can socialize this community, the more we can make this thing about not just maybe self-interests, but maybe trying to help others, then I think ultimately this is what's going to allow the DAO to gain more and more traction, more and more adoption, and more perhaps partnerships with other communities. So that being said, that's the intro. Let's jump into this idea here that I've been fleshing out, and that is, how is this DAO going to work? So I'm going to scroll up here, and this is ultimately, if you haven't done a lot of research around DAOs, ultimately, this is kind of how DAOs function. So if you're brand new to DAOs, again, to keep it very straightforward, a DAO is essentially a community with a shared treasury. So there can be all types of DAOs. There can be product DAOs. There could be SPAC DAOs. There could be DAOs that are focused on NFTs. There could be DAOs focused on gaming, or whatever it may be. Our DAO is going to be focused on community. So this is what we would call a community-based DAO. And the community-based DAO, as I said already, is going to have a common treasury. And that common treasury is going to allow us to fund a lot of benefits, as well as a lot of incentives for its members, contributors, and leaders. So how is this going to work? So essentially, the point is, the DAO needs to create a treasury. So how you going to start that treasury is in a couple possible ways. Now, prior to 2021, 2022, DAOs have been out for a number of years now. Prior to 2021, the 2022 period, most DAOs, when they began, the way they would actually raise money for the treasury would be through a token sale. So, as we, trade crypto at all, that every project basically had its own token or coin, and that was no different from how DAO started. So, they would sell tokens, and the proceeds of those sales would go back into the treasury. Now, that's still an effective way of raising money, but there's even a more effective way nowadays, and that is through this on the left-hand side here, which is to mint an NFT. So, NFTs have been all the rage in the past, couple of years. And what a lot of DAO communities have figured out is that the selling of an NFT can quickly raise capital or funds for the treasury. So in this case here, I think what's a good strategy for the DAO will be is to we'll create a limited edition set of NFTs, and so this means that we'll have to find people, artists and so forth, to help us create a limited edition run of NFTs, and then we'll sell those NFTs to the community. So though we'll have to talk about how much it costs to buy an NFT. It's not going to be anything too extraordinary or extravagant. It's it's a limited edition NFT, but essentially what you can think of the NFT is it's like basically like a badge, right? So it's a badge that's going to allow you to do a couple of things. So the badge, number one, is going to give the owner of that NFT or the badge access to the group, right? So that will give them access potentially to what? Maybe special events, access to special parts of the website, access to certain types of content, perhaps, right? So being especially an early NFT buyer, and again, there's no reason why a DAO cannot, or any organization for that matter, cannot do multiple NFT mints. So let's say we mint 100 NFTs and they sell out. Well, in a quarter's time, maybe you sell another 100 NFTs, right? And you can raise more money to the treasury that way. But again, it's really about creating value for the NFT holder. So as a DAO, we have to decide, what do we want to provide as a benefit to those folks who do buy or mint NFTs. Okay, so we're going to create NFTs. We'll do a limited edition drop. The people will buy those NFTs for whatever dollar value that we decide, and that will grant them basically two benefits. Number one, I talked about it already: access to the whatever we decide that's going to be. It could be something as simple as maybe early adopters get free meetups. Like if you recall my prior meetup, we would charge 25, or I can't remember what the number was, $20, something like that, $20 a meetup. It's more than that, 30. I can't remember the number right now, top of my head. Whatever the number is, maybe as a DAO, as a NFT buyer, you get the first 2 meetups for free. So let's say you spend $50 to mint an NFT, or no, let's say $25 to mint an NFT, and each event costs $50. So in a way, you're actually getting a free meetup out of it by minting an NFT. Anyways, these are all things I'm brainstorming, and we can figure out as we go along. The second benefit of minting the NFT is, of course, governance. So anyone who owns the NFT will have governance rights around the activities of the DAO. So you can you can then submit proposals for things that you might want to see the DAO do, and you can even then vote on those proposals, right? So that will give you governance rights as it pertains to DAO by holding those NFTs. Okay, so that money ultimately floats back to the treasury. So let's say, for instance, just an example, we sell 100 NFTs, $25 a pop. The treasury now owns $2,500 worth of tokens. Well, we can decide, do you want to sell it in is it like $25 worth of ETH? Is it $25 worth of stable coin? Again, these are all things that we can decide as a community. Okay, once the money gets into the treasury, then there's a few things. Actually, before we get there, let's do this. So that's one way the treasury can begin to collect money. Well, that's the first way I think the treasury we can collect money is through the minting NFTs. The other way the treasury can ultimately, this DAO structure that we're working on together can make money is one of the following ideas, right? So meetup events, I talked about already. So we can charge money at meetup events to recoup costs and to charge for seats, and that money then floats back into the treasury. Moving forward, we can certainly create more venues for revenue. So for instance, maybe it's seminar work, right? So maybe, there's an arm of the DAO that works on educational curriculum, right? So you can deliver seminars, right, and charge for that. We can, as the community gets larger and larger, we can begin to stand up and do conferences, and maybe we even have sponsors, and we can take all that sponsorship money, and ultimately all that revenue then floats back to the treasury. Okay, and then what can the treasury do? Well, at the bottom here's some ideas of what the treasury can do. Well, the money that's in the treasury can either just sit there, or we can do something productive with it, right? So number one, we can do things like yield farming. So the DAO itself can take that money, instead of just letting it sit there, we could send it off into a farm somewhere and have it, earn, some APYs. Maybe we don't want to be too risky, or maybe we do. It's up to the treasury, or up to the governance how risky or how conservative we want to be with those funds. We can deposit it into a stable pool like Anchor or something like that, earn 20% a year on some of those funds. We can allocate grants. So maybe there are contributors to the DAO who are actively helping the DAO with their initiatives, with its growth, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be benefiting, or we shouldn't be the benefits that accrue to the DAO. There's no reasons why we shouldn't pass that back to people who are really going above and beyond the call of duty. So that could be grants. So let's say people have good ideas, but they need money to get it off the ground. Then like let's say you want to deliver some an educational seminar for the DAO, but you need some money to do the research, right? Maybe you need $1,000 or whatever it is to get the tools, or to do get the time to actually build out the content. Then that's what a grant would be perfect for, right? Because this person is ultimately creating content or creating some sort of deliverable that in the end helps the community. Rewards, same thing. So outright rewards. So this could be something as simple as giving out stablecoin rewards or token rewards, or it could be something as simple as I've mentioned before, giving out free dinners, free food, free beer events, that kind of stuff. So very simple stuff there. And lastly, we can take some of this treasury and actually form a separate sub-DAO that would be an actual investment DAO. So we could take this money, allocate some of it to an investment DAO, and other members of the DAO could join this new DAO and pool money together, and that would have its own governance structure. But ultimately, that money could then float back to the DAO treasury. So you can see now how it's kind of composable, right? The monies that then get sent to the treasury can ultimately float to other DAOs, but then they ultimately come back to the treasury again. And you can see that there could be, again, multiple DAOs formed around any one of these activities. So, for instance, if you have a strength in education, then you might want to lead the charge around doing seminar work, or some sort of educational curriculum. Maybe it's online courses, whatever it may be, right? We need leaders and contributors who want to step up and begin to create content. Maybe you're really good at event planning. Then yeah, we certainly, you can take the charge, take the lead around doing conferences and meetup events. Or if you have strong growth marketing skills and partnership skills, maybe you can help the DAO by approaching other partners, other sponsors to try to facilitate those types of relationships. And again, that would be a person who could run their own sub DAO, or because it's so small right now, we don't have a large group right now. It'd all be under one DAO. But you can imagine if this thing gets larger and larger, and and we have a large community. It's all contingent, of course, on there being a great community that we can then grow and have different DAOs. Okay, so I talked about those things, and the final idea is around the Dao token. And so this would be the final way to incentivize people, because really, I understand that this is running a community event is fun, and I love socializing. This is kind of why my first interest in doing these meetups. But at the same time, I think we can get even more people involved, but by having the right incentives, right? So ultimately, not only can you benefit from being an early adopter and having that NFT and perhaps getting some of the rewards that can come back to you, but essentially having a DAO token also incentivizes people. Now, this is not written in stone, right? So this is simply an example of one that I found from another DAO group. This is actually from, I think it's Human DAO. I think that's the DAO that I copied this from. But it gives you an idea of the types of capital structures that you typically see. So the treasury might have, so let's say you do a token sale, maybe you sell like 1 million tokens, right? So 50% of those tokens will be owned by the treasury. Some go to the founders, some go to the builders, advisors. Then you actually do a public sale, and the rest go to the community. And when I say community, it means basically it's like an airdrop, right? So people who are let's say they're attending our events, whether that's in person or virtual, they could be literally airdropped tokens into their wallets, and this creates incentives for people to want to stay involved with the DAO, with this community, right? So you can imagine, like when you typically join meetup groups, there isn't anything really in keeping you there, right? Other than you hope that you meet some friends, you create social connections. Maybe you're learning things, and so you like going back to those group of people and to those events because it's educational. But if you're actually getting tokens as well, that's actually an interesting little financial incentive, isn't it? Because now you're kind of a bit vested in the success of this community, right? So you actually have financial upside, and not just the good feels, the good vibes, and the learning that comes from it, right? So ultimately, I think something like having a DAO token can definitely benefit the growth of the DAO as well. Because what we find in crypto now is that using DAOs is one of the best growth hacks you can use to build these communities. And once this thing has a treasury, then life gets a lot easier, because then the things that you can do with that money open up a lot of possibilities. All right, so I'm going to pause there. I think I've been talking now for a good 10, 15 minutes. So let's pause there. I'm going to open it up for questions. So any questions about this kind of, I'm not going to call it a roadmap because it's not a map, because this is not what we committed to, but this flow.
I have a question. Houston, can you hear me?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
The activities of the Treasury, yield farming, grants, rewards, investment, etc. How flexible is that, or is that written into the smart code?
Completely
For example,
flexible.
if we wanted to essentially set up a scholarship or make certain donations, would that go under the subcategory of grants? Or if we really wanted to say, take a trip to Asia together, that's definitely not within the realm of
that's right.
of the activities that you have there. So how flexible is it?
Yeah, so very good point. So there's something that's important to understand, is that when you have voting rights, when you have governance rights, basically what you have there is on-chain governance rights. So the majority vote ultimately controls the capital inside that treasury. It cannot control, of course, off-chain responsibilities. So for instance, let's say someone steps up as a leader and begins to take it down a certain direction, and the DAO then votes against that person's leadership. Well, there's nothing that in the vote says, okay, we need to fire this person or get this person out. There's nothing that the on-chain governance can do to stop that person from doing things, right? Clearly, it's just on-chain governance. So that means you cannot use governance to control real world activities, but the governance does control the treasury. So ultimately, that's what we're using governance for, is that that method is used to decide how that money's allocated. So if we want to do things like you said, I think it's a great idea to do scholarships. I think we can put this under its own category or under grants, however we want to split it out. And then let's say we have a vote, right? Or someone puts up a proposal to say, I think this is a great idea. It's to a sponsorship for students, or at a university or whatever it may be. And then people will then vote on it. And then if there's a majority vote, then the money could then flow out of the treasury, and because it's controlled by a multi-sig. So a multi-sig is a multiple signature wallet that's controlled by more than one person inside the DAO, and so it requires a majority of multi-sig holders to then send that money to the to us to do that activity. Does that kind of help? I don't know if I think, Dina, you may be on mute. If I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
A good question. Great question, because that's often what I've wondered myself is, how do things get from proposal to actual, the dollars being allocated? And that's kind of the rough idea. So, we'll have to figure out, for instance, at what point do we do, these are all details. I think I don't think we need to decide at this point, like how the details get fleshed out. But I think for this conversation, I think maybe it's probably at a good enough level. We don't have to worry about the next level down. So I'll just leave it there for now.
Like Houston, the main objective of the activities of the DAO would be like the 4 ones you are proposing, like meetup, events, seminars, conferences, sponsorships.
Like yeah, we could do any of those things, and I'm very open to other things too, as long as people,
Like we could maybe add a platform for people who are interested into launching their own projects, for example, and we could add a branch in our treasury, maybe investing in some promising DeFi projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that would go into maybe the investment DAO section.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I like that idea. Absolutely. And I think,
mainly that like we are all interested in, investments, trading, like to fructify our money, if you want. So it would be an idea, especially like in the DeFi. DeFi is booming. And I'm not sure there is the right platform here in Montreal or in the region, or it could be global. Like you said, we don't need to restrain it to Montreal. It could be broader.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I don't think we need to restrict Montreal, because there are so many investors and people who are interested in the DeFi world and the crypto stuff. So it might be a good opportunity for us to do the project worldwide.
100%, because that's my next that's one of my main topics here. Is I'll just transition now, because that's the first things I do want to talk about. Is I want to talk about deciding on the scope of the community, and that thing is, that's what I listed right as my number one talking point. Is do we want to keep this as being Montreal only? And so far, Antoine and Faoud, I think I agree with you guys. Like I'm on that wagon too. Like I don't think we should just make it a Montreal thing. And so I think before we go down too far around this branding of DeFi Montreal, I think we can take a step back and and maybe think of what we want to call this thing.
Yeah. Like we could be we could be like we could start like our starting point is Montreal, our group, but we with time we will prove ourselves, we will grow, and investment will grow also. And if we prove ourselves to be like the right platform for the new DeFi projects, we will be the place to go. Like people will come to our place for investment, for example, if we are investing on the right projects.
Yeah.
And we could mentor them. Yeah, we could like help them.
Yeah, because I think what I'm seeing now is like there's already a lot of I'm finding more and more people in Montreal who are involved in the DeFi / Web3 space. So there's a lot of companies. There's more and more companies that are in Montreal that are developing Web3 and DeFi solutions or projects. Obviously, we have a lot of universities here in Montreal, right? And the new graduates that are coming out, that's the world they're going to be entering into, right? Like if you're a top graduate, like the question now is, am I going to go to work for Google, or do I go in this brand new space where there's a lot more opportunity, right? And so not only are we potentially like getting a chance to check out new projects, but I think we also have the chance to create a community of new builders, right? So and that we can ultimately that I think it's just as important, right? So it's not just the trading that's important and the investing; it's also having these folks that are going to be the next generation of builders that are coming out of our schools here in Montreal that we can leverage as well into the community.
Yeah, we could tap like you said, universities. We have big universities here in the area, and we could go maybe to Ontario also. We could go to everywhere, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of developers are probably going to be looking to let's say we ultimately get out of this bear market at some point. I think a lot of people will be interested to get back into the crypto space, and so I think we're going to see a lot of traditional developers, who are going to want to retool themselves and begin to program smart contracts.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
So yeah. So if we think that's true, then there's a chance here where we can create a curriculum, right? And maybe we partner with, I don't know, universities or other companies here in Montreal who are already pushing out, smart contracting developers or smart contract developers, right? We can create curriculums around that. We can create communities around that. And so I think there's many different avenues here beyond just the traditional investing / VC / trading space. All right, so maybe what I'll do, because I don't, so I've only, I think sounds like Fawood and Antoine and I are down with this rebranding of it. Anyone else want to comment around that?
Just I'm gonna turn to my phone. Okay, and
sure. Okay. Yeah, drive safe. All right, so I'm just going to share one thing here.
And also, we a lot of people around us, I think, are traveling a lot. So it might be it is an edge that we have, that most of us know people around the world and travel a lot. Like Etienne, by example, he knows people around the world, and it might be an edge for us because we know people around the world,
Yeah, and this is crypto's really it's a online community, right? Like that's what crypto basically is. It's an internet native money. So yeah, it makes sense that I think it needs to be beyond local, but I think there's also a benefit of being having a strong local community, because there's nothing quite like let's say you can put together a conference and have a few hundred people in the room. Like that's powerful, right? Like having that many people in real life together, like having 100 people in real life together in a room is way more powerful than having 100 people on a Twitter space, right? When you can actually put together that many people in real life together, and 100's not a lot. I'm just saying, 100 is just is the point is it's way more impactful having 100 in real life people, because any marketer will tell you, or any person who wants to share their products will tell you, those people in real life are way more committed. They're there, right? They've taken time out of their day to show up and just to take 2 or 3 hours out of their day to attend an event. That's going to be way more impactful than someone who's just tuning in on their phone over Twitter Space, right? So I think it's kind of a show of force having that local community. So one thing before I move on here, I do want to share this site. I don't know how many folks have logged into this, but the Notion site is where I'm keeping a lot of the. I minimized it here. The Notion site is where I'm keeping a lot of the assets and a lot of the as a space where I'm jotting down all the stuff. So I encourage everyone to whoever wants to contribute to join the page and take down and make your notes in here. Because for instance, like I've been like for the community call under the ideas section, this is where I'm collecting all of our talking points today, right? So if you go under community call topics, these are all things that we're talking about today. So for next week's call, if you do want to add something to the topic, the topic points, then yeah, certainly jump in here and just drop it in this column, okay? So that you can socialize it, and so that we can keep them as a matter of record, okay? So just again, make sure you go to the Notion site, and here, go under brainstorm ideas. That's where they are, and that's where you'll find the community call topics section. Okay, so these are things we're going to talk about today. Also in here, once people do step up and begin to contribute, there is a tasks. I think Notion's a pretty good tool for this, but we can begin to track the activities that are going on, and begin to set some dates and timelines around getting things done. Okay. All right. Any questions about Notion or how to use it? What to use it for? No? Okay. So let me jump back now and go back to the old mind map, and then let's go to the next topic. So the thing, yeah, so we talked about the scope. So what I'll do then is around the scope, I'll put up a quick poll. And I got to think about how to do the poll, but we'll poll the community here and see if everyone's all right with changing the branding, like changing our focus from just Montreal to being more global, universal. And then I'd love to hear anyone's ideas about what we want to brand ourselves as. All right, like what do we want to call this community? Something that's not too generic. Do you want to call it just DeFi crypto, something that's a little bit generic? So what is it, like what can we call ourselves that's really representative of what we're trying to accomplish? And that's, that sounds like it's fun and to be a part of. Okay. So I'll figure out how to do the poll, and then maybe we'll use inside Notion, if anyone has ideas for names, people can drop it in there, and we can keep a running tally on potential ideas.
Yep.
All right, cool. So next one. So Antoine brought up a great idea is around, I'm just going to turn off here. So Antoine came with the idea of using Discord. So Discord, because that is basically, the most popular community messaging tool for crypto. So everyone's either using Discord or Telegram, but Discord is way better because you can have multiple channels. So I want to throw it out there. Who wants to use Discord versus what we're using now, which is Slack? Anyone have any thoughts or preferences on the matter?
Well, me, I personally prefer Discord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nada. Anyone else?
Yeah, I second that. Slack seems, a lot more restrictive in many ways. You got to pay for a lot of stuff. After, I don't know, like 2 months or something, everything disappears, right? Yeah. So I think Discord is pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, I would agree. Discord all the way.
And we can have a voice channel. It's kind of cool to build a community with the voice stuff. We use this as a virtual office in our company, and it's working great. People can talk just like there was an office.
100%. All right, so it sounds like everyone is kind of on board with that. So yeah, let's do it. So let's jump from Slack to Discord because I've seen like Discord has some really good integrations now with things like tokens and NFTs. So kind of like we talked about before, you can actually have, I guess I've seen it or not, but based upon what you own in your wallet, like say an NFT or a token, that will grant you access to certain channels inside of a Discord room. Right, so you can easily see where, let's say you have a certain NFT, maybe it's the admin NFT or leadership or early adopter NFT, whatever it may be, that will grant you certain privileges inside the Discord to certain channels, right? So I know Slack does not do that. So I don't think I've seen any plugins that allow for that to happen. So yeah, Discord, I think that's the way to go as well. So who wants to lead the charge on Discord?
I can do it.
Awesome. So that, all right, Antoine, I will put that under your task to do.
Perfect.
And yeah, so I'll assign that to Antoine. So if you need any help with that, let me know, and then we'll find a way to then move people. We'll update our website, update our meetup group and our websites to then point to Discord, so people join. So we're sharing that Discord, channel or a room right after they join the meetup, they get pushed to Discord so that they can enter into the community. Cool. Any other thoughts on Discord? Otherwise, I think it's we have some consensus around that. Okay, very good. One other tool now. So we're talking tools here, and that's around Luma. So I posted this in the Slack room the other day. Has anyone checked it out? Luma, DeFi Montreal? Not yet? So I'll share it and I'll show you what it looks like. So okay, can everyone see that? Should see Luma. Luma. Everyone can see it?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. So it's actually a pretty good website. It's actually very good for community building. I think this is I started to build it out because I thought it was pretty easy to use. So I thought, why not? I was just trying it out, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna start building this thing out because it was very simple to do. But I think for the group, what I'm thinking is that based upon what I learned previously from running the other meetup group, is that we don't want to restrict ourselves to just meetup.com, right? Meetup.com is ultimately, I think we need to be on our own platform, right? So we could have our own website. Obviously, we could create our own website, but at the same time, there's this template here. What Luma provides offers a free template for building communities that has built-in chat, built-in event planning, built-in newsletters. All these things make it a lot easier to build a community versus having a self-hosted WordPress site, right? And we know that meetup.com doesn't work that well, like in terms of because you get stuck in the meetup ecosystem, right? You can't get beyond it. And I think what we're trying to build here is more than just a meetup group, right? It's its own community, and that doesn't have to be a meetup community. It's just its own community. So Luma, I think it's just a website. We don't have to, so here you go. So you join, and I suggest everyone join it now. I think here, I'll just paste it in the chat. So it's just basically Luma. And I can change the URL for it. So it's not a big deal if we change our group name. That's not going to be difficult to change. So I'll just drop the URL into the chat pod there. But yeah, you go to luma.com. You join. So then there's a small about page here, and then you click on open community page. So you sign up. You need an account, so you can log in with your Gmail or whatever. You can even log in with an Ethereum address. So that's nice. So it's very DeFi. I mean, it's very Web 3.0 enabled. And then simple, like the welcome page. You can go to calendar. You can see all the events that are going on. So today's event, and they can even sign up here, right? So instead of meetup, so you don't have to drive everyone to the meetup page necessarily, right? This would be the community page, and people can come here. We can drive people here, and they can see our calendar events. Because not everything has to be on Meetup. As long, we can certainly use Meetup as a funnel, but I think ultimately, Meetup is just a funnel. We're not just a Meetup group. It's we're building a community, and that's not a Meetup. It's not just a Meetup community. So we can drive people here, and then if people have, I started to build up the library here. So here we have a video section or collection section where I have a archive of our previous meetups, and you can come in here and you can post or host the presentations, and you can leave the PDFs there and all that kind of stuff. So it's it's nice and easy to use. If you want to do a newsletter, you can send it out from here as well, and it's all free up until 500 members. So I think this is a good place to begin. This is my personal opinion. A good place to begin that we can grow into, and ultimately, I think what's nice about it is it's more neutral ground than being on Meetup.com or on Facebook, right? Like these two things are they're trying to monetize you, like Meetup.com and Facebook. They're trying to monetize, and I get that. And Luma, obviously they're trying to monetize as well. They're not a nonprofit business, but they're less of the that kind of in-your-face brand that Meetup.com and Facebook is. So I think it's kind of more neutral ground that for whatever reason I feel more comfortable with than trying to create a a Facebook meetup group, right? A Facebook community, which I think is I'm not a big fan of. So, guys, what do you guys think about Luma and this being the community site?
Yeah, that's cool. I think eventually it will be a nice thing to build up like a custom website or something to launch blog article and
Yeah.
profit from SEO and other organic growth tools. But
Yeah.
for now, yeah, I think it is really good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Look at. Thank you, Bella. Someone just joined there. So awesome for joining. So yeah. So jump in. Everyone sign up for an account. We'll start. We'll make this our main page. And meetup.com/funnel. I like the idea of the WordPress site too, or having our own website at some point. You just need to start creating content. So if we have people out there who want to create content, right? That's the way you can contribute is to build content. Again, everything's content nowadays, from what you see in your iPhone screen to a video, tutorials, documents. Everything's content. So we just need more people creating content for this community, and ultimately, that's just how you would begin to contribute. All right.
Yeah. So just to comment, I don't have a problem with this, but the one reason why you want to use something like Facebook is because of the integration, right? People are used to using Facebook groups or whatever it is, and they add links all over the place, right? Those are the benefits of this. Jumping back and forth with different platforms, doing a little bit here or there is very confusing for most people, I think, and it gets a little frustrating for people that are not as tech savvy as yourself to say, right? So yeah, I mean, if we're going to do something in this, then we kind of need to stick with this, right? If you start, oh, well, this doesn't have this tool, we need to go grab something from somewhere else, where then it gets really confusing for everybody, in my personal opinion, right?
I see what you're coming. Yeah, exactly. I see it too. I think the thing I would say is we have to. I think my point is we need to move ourselves off of meetup.com as our main landing page, right? That's just the funnel for us to find people for our community. But the main landing page, we have to decide like early on, what's it going to be like? When you go to a business and their website is a Facebook page, it's not a serious business. Like if I go to IBM.com, they have their own website, right? I'm not going to Facebook.com/IBM.
I agree. I agree to a certain extent. You're right. It's not a multi-billion-dollar corporation, that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
But it could be relatively large, right? Because a lot of these guys do have a lot of presence on Facebook because they know that people are used to it. Now, people, I don't know, boomers and whatever. Gen X.
Yeah, exactly. Which people?
Gen X boomers, right?
I thought they were Russian bots.
Gen X boomers have most of the money at the end of the day, right? They've got a lot of money right now, right? So again, what's the focus of the group, right?
Yeah.
Gen X boomers require information and knowledge and trust and security, right? Which something like this group is going to provide, right? Everybody without a doubt, knows that your shit, right? Sorry, excuse my swearing there, but
it's all being recorded,
stuff, right? You've been doing it forever, your stuff, right? I trust you for sure. But like a boomer or whatever is not going to be jumping around. Oh, it's another website, and this is not DeFiMontreal.com, right? This is loo.ma. DeFi. So they don't really know what that is at the end of the day, but they do know Facebook, right? And in spite of what most people hate about Facebook, or Meta, whatever you want to call it right now, right? Everybody hates them, but they still use them. Still using Instagram. So I don't hate Mark, right? The guy looks like a dick, right? In the movie, whatever, right? But I mean, honestly, I use all their products, right? I've got an Oculus, I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram, I've got WhatsApp. I mean, these are the tools that I use. And I'm not a boomer, I'm a Gen X, right? But maybe, the younger population requires something else. But is it this or is it that? That's, I'm not going to disagree with anything, but it's like, if we jump into this, if it doesn't have all the tools and the integrations that we require, then it's just kind of, half of the tool again. Whereas I believe a Facebook has everything, right? Facebook has the tools, it has the integrations, it has the tools, it has the That's what I believe. Just a comment.
Yeah. I don't disagree with anything you said there. My only thing I would disagree with would be I would not want to start on Facebook. Like I'd rather go full on, our own website versus going on Facebook, because I think Facebook is I don't think we're gonna find the people who are currently like in the crypto space. No one goes on Facebook, right? No one uses Facebook for crypto except for the scammers who are trying to steal from people.
Because it's native to generation too, right? Potentially in crypto space.
People are native to crypto. They're either on Twitter or they're on the different sites. But Facebook is not right now. Like I don't think that's our target demographic.
Yeah, so I wonder what's the target demographic, right? So that's the thing, right? Are we, let's say, okay, I'm just going to give 2 examples, right? So one example is, okay, well, if we're trying to raise funds for whatever it is, right? Like I heard earlier, Adina said, well, we want, maybe we want to do scholarships or something. And then there's like, well, we don't want to go down to Asia. Well, actually, I don't mind going down to Asia, right? It's like, so you're let's say cooler, younger, hipper, whatever it is, right? Generation, no disrespect, Adina, or anything like that.
No, she means like you going to Asia, just you going to Asia, not the whole team. It's just you going.
But like, but you're whatever, right? Like the fancy DeFi world right now and the money that these guys are making, that's what they're doing. Right? They're like, what? I just made whatever. Look, I drive around, I got my license plate and it says, thank you, Bitcoin or something. Right? Like it's just, that's what they're doing. It's flashy, it's loud. And it's like, I'm going to do this like private jet. I'm going to fly everybody down to some resort, and then it's going to make waves and everybody's going to get in trouble. But shit, man, publicity at the end of the day. Right? But like the other side of it is like, okay, well, if you're trying to, so everybody in the world kind of is going after that new group of younger people that really are very savvy about this stuff. They're going to jump around and figure it all out, right? They already know it, right? What they're doing is going from one new, like, one big investment to the next investment or whatever, right? Yeah. And they're just making a fast money, right? So are we trying to do that, right? Because that's the same kind of group that you're going to get. Oh, look, Montreal DeFi is catching fire right now. Wicked, right? Just jump on this thing, make your money, and all jet at the same time, right? And then, it's whoa, and then whatever, right? Whereas, okay, if somehow you can sell this group as a, we're solid, we're going to be around forever, we're going to be around for a long time. We're actually there to help the community so that everybody actually understands, blah, 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 right? And, we're going to hold, maybe someone that's been looking at the space for a while, a little older, they don't understand, it's a little too fast for them, whatever it is, right? And they're like, okay, now we're understanding this. These guys are likely going to stick around a lot longer. Okay, is my feeling, right? So, but again, I don't know. That's just my opinion, right? So, what is are we trying to go after the fast moving crowd, or is it the slower moving? They don't know, and it's like a little more of an untouched niche, right? Because nobody's focusing on those guys, right? They don't really know, right? They, if they're lucky, they might have a Bitcoin because their grandson told them to buy it or something, right? But like that kind of thing, right? So what is it that we're actually after here? That's the question, I guess.
Yeah, important discussion. Very important discussion. I think we have to come to agreement on that, because you're right. You can't go after the whole world in the beginning. So what is our our target focus? No boomers. I like that. Bella says no boomers. I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't, boomer being a kind of a generic term for a certain person who's of a certain mindset, right? That means they're not willing to, like, the only reason a boomer would get involved, like when I think of a boomer, I think a person who's like kind of closed and not interested in these, in technology, and until it kind of like kicks them in the butt, and it's like, why is this messing my why is it messing my current status quo, right? That's kind of the boomer mentality. Is like, why should I buy Bitcoin over gold? Like that person there has a lot of education out in front of them. In fact, maybe it's not cut out for them, right? Like if you're really stuck on gold versus Bitcoin and you've done the work, then then it's this group is probably not for you, because that's too hard of a convert. So that's like really, I think we need to look for lower hanging fruit versus trying to convert the folks who are like super, embedded in the system. That's what I would think is a boomer, is a person who's, of the current system and going to be very difficult to change, versus someone who's maybe caught a whiff and said, oh yeah, this thing here is, for many reasons. I think a lot of it has to do with whether or not you think that the system now is currently fair or not, right? If you think the system is currently fair and that, you've cut out a good place for yourself in the world, then why would you, even jump into this space? Like that's always the, the dilemma there, not dilemma, but the paradox is, if you're already successful, then why chase any more success? So I think that's kind of that boomer mindset where they're kind of satisfied or content with their lot in life. Whereas a person who's kind of like into crypto, you kind of have to believe that, hey, there could be a better way of doing things, right? And this current system we're in now isn't the most equitable system, and it's just basically a byproduct of a lot of bad choices that people made over the years. But going back to your point, I think it's the broader discussion is who is our target audience, and do we shoot for that target audience right from the get-go, in terms of like, and we make it like very geographically filtered, like just Montreal. We just go after Montreal in the beginning, and let's say we get 1,000 Montreal members. Is that better than having 1,000 global members, right? Like I think that's kind of if we can say, all right, why don't we pick young people or people who want to learn, right? And maybe that's a combination of university kids, right? To early stage people who want to invest in early stage stuff, right? And that's kind of more of a venture mindset. We go after those people, and keep them kind of local, versus trying to compete globally right away and compete against the big brands that are already out there, like the I don't know, whatever, realvision.com and these other kind of community websites or platforms that are trying to create content and community.
Yeah, I mean, I think
just a thought. Yeah.
Go ahead. Whoever's. Was someone saying something? Oh, okay. Well, I'll go ahead then. Yeah. So, yeah, I think in the beginning here, well, it's not that you're going to restrict anybody to joining the group just because they're outside of Montreal or something, right? I don't. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense. But like at the end of the day, if you don't really have a niche and you're just kind of like everybody else out there, there really is no reason, right? So what is your niche, right? So if you do have like you have 1,000 followers right now, or you have 1,000 people in the meetup, right? Those guys are your first basis as well, right away, right off the bat, right? So they're just all going to join, right? So it will become this is a Montreal thing. Now all of a sudden, if you have like 20,000-30,000 members in this, right? And it's Montreal, like it can be rebranded, I think, right, pretty quickly, right? So I think it would be a little easier to like, let's say, brand it Montreal or even brand it Canada or whatever it is, right? Something that has a little, I don't know, some sort of presence in some people's minds, right? Like I don't understand why someone in Chicago or something would want to join our group when there's multiple other places out there right now, I think, right? Like you said, there's bigger places, right?
Yeah. Any thoughts, anyone else? All good points. So where do we stand on that? I think it's, to me, it's still a bit of open-ended question there is, do we, so it goes back to the point.
I mean,
Go ahead,
I don't think you have to restrict it to just Canada, but I think what's more important is what's going to be the incentive. What do you get for buying, a badge for it? Are you going to tie incentives such as, education or some type of unique perk? Like I invest a little bit in everything, just to learn and meet new people, so I think it's more about not so much location based, but just what the incentive is going to be.
Yeah, very good point. Very fair point. Yeah, so obviously if you're doing an NFT sale and giving out perks, and the perk has to tie back to something, then obviously, if you're not in Montreal, then having a perk that has to do with coming to in-person meetups is not a great perk, right? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we definitely have to incentivize people properly.
I mean,
So,
you can mail me some of that precious maple syrup over there. You know, you ship it over here to New York. That might be a perk.
I like that. Yeah, that's going old school. Actually, sending physical product. We should make like a maple leaf, a maple syrup NFT or something. That'd be a good one. Maple syrup or poutine coin, something like that. I like that. That's this thing to think about there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Bella. It's just about it is definitely about the incentive. Like Bella says, I'll throw a little bit at everything. Like, what's the membership? Okay, yeah, I'll just throw it there. Every time you've said something, I'll throw something in there, right? I don't know. I've got like scraps everywhere, honestly. I don't even look at it. I don't know where anything is, right? So yeah, I mean, if this catches, it's awesome, right? Like, but it could just be another little thing, right? But yeah, obviously you want some sort of thing that makes sense, that has some sort of sticking power, right? Hopefully. Yeah. Right. I don't know what that is right now. I mean, I haven't put that much thought to it, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think
it sounds like sorry,
go ahead, Adina.
It sounds like one of the things coming out of this conversation is that build it and they will come, versus what are you looking for? What are people looking for? We've already established one thing is that we don't want the boomer mindset. So we've already said we don't want the boomer that is of a certain mindset. We've already closed that off. And one way to find an answer, which is hugely laborious, is to create a survey. To create a survey of the targeted audience. Now, if we don't know who our targeted audience is or who we would like to have as members, then it's very hard to survey them insofar as how do they want to be incentivized. I don't have an answer for the question that I'm raising here. However, if we all contribute our ideas as to who do we want, I should rephrase that. Not who do we want, what kind of a mindset do we want? And I think, Houston, you've already stated that fairly nicely. If we can add a few adjectives to that, then we can come to an idea of what do these people want besides more money?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good points. So maybe we can draft up something, right? And let's just put I like what Dina said. Let's put some adjectives on paper. Let's create that kind of profile that that average community member, what that person looks like, who we're trying to attract here. I think there's something to be said about creating in real life events is important, right? So I think that is like when people see, especially coming out of COVID, I think it's going to be something that is going to resonate with a lot of people. Even guys who are stuck on couches, or guys or girls who are sitting on couches, when they begin to see events back in person again, and and it happens to be a topic that they're interested in, I think it's going to get people to off their butts and get back into society again and begin to to socialize again. So I think that's something that and these are things that catch on quickly, right? People like seeing other people having fun. Well, not everyone, but it's quite a selling point when you see a room full of people and everyone seems to be having a good time. It's people want to be a part of that, right? It's just human nature. But who do we want to attract to that? Like who's going to be part and parcel? Who's going to be that community? I think we should talk about that some more. I have a feeling personally who's going to be attracted to some of these things, right? Just based upon the demographics of crypto, mostly male, mostly young. Obviously, there are women involved, but that's not they're not the majority of our crypto community currently is. But that doesn't mean it can't be that way going forward, right? Because obviously we're still early. It's still very early. That means the majority of people are not here yet. So eventually it'll be just like the internet. Everyone's going to use it. So it's not going to be more men than women use the internet. No, it's 50-50, right? Everyone uses the internet. So I think eventually when we get to that world, everyone's going to be using this thing called whatever, crypto or Web3 or whatever you want to call it. So it's not going to be a demographic thing anymore. But in the beginning, certainly there's going to be certain demographics that are more likely to show up to these things. Like if you ever go to a Bitcoin, if you ever go to a Bitcoin meetup, it's all dudes, right? Like, has anyone been to a Bitcoin meetup? It's all guys. Obviously a couple girls, a couple ladies, but it's mostly guys, right? So it's the nature of the technology, the technology and the early adopters. So, but yeah, there's no reason we can't think of who do we want to attract. And I think what's neat about this is that it could be a lot more than just about the traditional people that we attract to some of our meetups. The people who are interested in money. Some folks are in it for the tech too, right? Like some people like the technology. So it's not just like, hey, I want to make money off flipping coins. It's like, no, I want to, I actually want to learn the technology because maybe that makes you more of a macro investor, right? More fundamental investor. Because you want to understand, like, imagine in 1998, 99, if someone was explaining to you the ins and outs of a company like Amazon or something that matter, right? That would allow you to be an early stage investor. That's what we're having here now. If we can get in, if we have a big community, obviously one of the benefits is that we get potentially the exposure to some of the influencers in the space, right? And we get to hear about early projects, right? These guys are always pitching early. Some of these guys are pitching the early stage projects, and I think it's just a benefit of having a community and having the ability to share a message across those people. Anyways, that's kind of a tangent. So one takeaway there. So I'll go back to my my screen here. So I think what we can do is I'll just make a note of what we talked about, what Adina said especially. Let's make a little draft, a little note. I'll make it in Notion. So maybe what I'll do here is let's draft a document. Let's draft a okay, so drafts document for, let's call it what, ideal user or ideal average user. We'll put that on Notion. I'll put it in there, and then feel free to contribute or whatever you guys think. Okay. All right. So let's keep moving here. Any questions or any comments about that stuff so far? Otherwise, we've got just two more things, and then we'll open it up. So sorry, for Luma, are we okay using Luma? I'm not sure if we actually got to a place of consensus yet. Is everyone okay using Luma as our kind of main portal? Even though that I don't think right now doesn't change anything, because frankly, people still find us through meetup.com, right? That's where people are finding us. But as we do more stuff online, right? Like let's say we do some Twitter stuff, people are tweeting about our group. Where do we send people? Right? Like let's say you have a tweet where people talk about our events. What do you send them? Do you send them to meetup.com, or do you send them to Meetup or to Luma to find out more about the community?
Well, Hussein, just my suggestion, as someone said before, we can stick with Luma since we're just beginning and we have many other important stuff to decide on. But later, we can move. We can make something custom. I can help with that side. Like whether it's WordPress or any other management system where we have the control over the layout and design and content. We can gradually move whenever we whenever you feel that like the group is established and we have more time on our hands, then we can definitely do that.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's I think that's a good way to approach it.
Yeah, I think the important thing is to take action and adapt after that.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we'll give a green light to Luma for now. We'll push that thing as far as we can until either it breaks or we need something different, and then yeah, I like Naga's. Thank you, Naga, for stepping up there and volunteering, perhaps for a WordPress site once the right time comes. All right. So let's do two more things, and then we'll open it up. The roles. So as I've been thinking things through now, I'm seeing more clearly what we need help on. So number one is around event coordination. So that's kind of something that I've been doing already, right? So obviously I've been creating these events. We have an event next week, so I've been coordinating with our speaker next week. So if you've never run a meetup before, it's basically what it's about, right? So it's basically creating events, organizing speakers, or when there's no speakers, creating your own content, then delivering that to the community. But moving forward, I think we can certainly, I could certainly specifically use more help or with event coordination, because I think this community will launch faster, will grow a lot faster and attract more people if we have more consistent content. If we're waiting to do events once a month, then I think that's a very long sort of a very long cycle to wait for content, especially in this this fast-paced crypto world. 1 month is like a lifetime, right? Like I can't remember what I did a month ago. So you kind of need to strike when the iron's hot, and I think we could be doing multiple events a month. But that means we probably need to have more than one person coordinating, because clearly one person can't do all the events. If they can, that's great. But I'll say I can't do all the events with all my other things I have going on. So definitely looking for another event coordinator to work with me to set up some of these things, to look for other speakers, right? To create partnerships and maybe find other folks to deliver content. And I think we need to start thinking about growth. So this is kind of connected, kind of growth marketing / social media. I think those two are kind of connected. But we definitely need to have someone who's either responsible or has some duties around growth and marketing, and that means also managing social media. So how can we begin to grow, expand the voice of this group and get some amplification, so that it's beyond the meetup.com site? Because right now that's kind of where all of our communications happening is meetup.com. And who knows if we're being shadow banned there or not? You never know. Like, how amplified is our voice? How can we find more venues so that this content gets heard? So if anyone wants to step up around growth and marketing or doing social media, I think it would be reasonable to have like a social media presence. I don't think it requires a lot of time to do it, but like have a social media account on Twitter, especially, right? And then tweet regularly about our activities and that kind of stuff, or interesting articles or things like that. Content creator, yeah, we just need content. We need people to step up and do contribution of content. So whether that's in the form of articles, or it could be the form of videos, or it could be something simple. I started thinking about it, like maybe you just have like a curated newsletter. Maybe it goes out once a week with all the links, kind of the important, kind of the hot links of the week, across, whatever subtopics that I think are important to the group. That could go out to a mailing list, right? And then we start to collect emails. That allows us to do more marketing in the future. And then the last role I think we probably need pretty soon, or whoever wants to apply for it is qualified, is I think it would be nice to have a technical lead, or at least someone who wants to contribute their technical expertise, so we can begin to evaluate some of these tools. Like I've been doing some of that stuff already. Like I've been evaluating a bunch of DAO tools, but at a certain point, it'd be nice to get someone even who's who has more knowledge and can actually get down to the if need be, look into the smart contracts and really understand and drill into the technical side. So it'd be nice to have this group actually have a technical lead who can do some of that evaluation work, or at least we can bump. We could turn to that person to say, hey, we need to evaluate this thing for the group. Let us know, is this gonna work? All right. So I think in the near term, I think it would be great to have like these roles kind of filled. These are not they don't have to be full-time roles, right? But I certainly think it'd be nice to have people in these slots, so that we could so that we have things going on each one of these categories. Like each week, there's hopefully someone's working on event coordination. Each week, hopefully someone's creating some content. Each week, maybe someone's doing some reach, some marketing or some partnership work and trying to grow our partnerships. Someone's sending tweets out. Maybe someone's doing some evaluation work on some platforms. All right. Any comments about those 4 rules or anything else that you think we need to add to those that mixture of rules? While we're on the call, is there anyone who wants to volunteer for any one of these roles? Do I want to reach raise their hand and say, hey, I think I can do one of those things?
I think I can help with content creation, and I try to invite some of my person on my team joining the meetup, so we can because we have a SEO expert and content creator, so it might be helpful to create content and good content for Google and grow the community with this,
Nice. Yeah. Thank you, man. All right. Well, I will definitely, lean on you, Antoine.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of I'm not working at the present moment, so I do a lot of research anyway. So, yeah, I don't see it being that difficult to provide like research information. That's fine.
Awesome. This is
Or
Bella.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So, Bella, what do you think you've maybe around creating content or doing more research for the internal DAO community? Like, what's your
just both.
idea around?
I could do both. Yeah, because I'm
Okay.
I'm getting really heavy in DeFi, and I mean, I'm transitioning I'm trying to learn about, smart contracts. I mean, not that I'm an expert, but that's what I've been studying for the past couple months. So
Awesome.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for we'll definitely I'll definitely lean on you for that. So yeah, I got your name down there for that. Thank you very much. Okay. Is anyone interested in doing any kind of social media work? Writing Twitter? Has anyone got Twitter fingers? No Twitter fingers on this call?
Twitter is hard to grow, I think. I don't.
Yeah, Twitter's hard to grow. Definitely hard to grow. Yeah. Which is why I don't think, we necessarily need to have trying to grow that as a channel, but I think it's more important just to have it set up and then just have a voice there. So it's not like I think you have to do like a bunch of active engagement and try to, be the, we don't need to have like a full-time meme expert on Twitter, but certainly just, someone who's like hitting the channels, right? Like, okay, if we have an event, it needs to get posted to these following social channels, right? You should go on Twitter. It should go on, the whatever, so it gets visibility. Like for instance, next week. So that kind of leads on to my last topic here. We have a meetup next week, next Thursday, at 6 p.m. from 6 to 8. We got Jonah Levine from Metis. He's the chief marketing officer over at Metis. He's actually, I think I told you guys last week, he's actually here in Montreal. Him and another colleague are based in Montreal. I think it's actually based out of, it's the actual project itself. There's I know it started in Toronto, so there's a lot of Canadians involved. I don't know where they're actually domiciled nowadays, because who knows, how people can structure these things. But they have a lot of Canadian employees. But Jonah's one of them. He's a good speaker, lots of energy. He's again CMO. Actually runs their Twitter account as well. So if you go over to Metis, if you search Metis DAO on Twitter, he's the guy that runs that account. He's pretty active. He puts out a lot of funny stuff. Yeah, so we got him talking next week about Metis. And so we're gonna have to walk that fine line, right? So we we don't want to shill things. We don't want to be just simply we don't want to use this as a forum for people just to to pitch their their projects. So we try and make it educational, right? As always, we're trying to make it educational versus being a paid advertisement. We don't want to get to that place. My opinion, we don't want to get to that place where we're basically taking kickbacks for like people shill their products on our community. I don't think that's I think that's against my values for that to happen. So I hope everyone's in the same mindset. But again, going back to that point around promo. So whoever I think it's anyone who's involved in this DAO. I think even if you're not in the weeds doing the day-to-day stuff, something as simple as sharing with people, like share, either on your social media or your friends or, colleagues, sharing our links and that kind of stuff. I think these are all things that just make sense for all of us to do to promote these events. And ideally, as I mentioned already, we don't want to restrict it just being a meetup.com event. I think that for whatever reason, I think the meetup.com thing, like the meetup.com, when I think about it, the meetup.com has a certain connotation, right? It's like if I was to say we have a meeting next week on Twitter Spaces with Jonah Levine from Metis, it's different than me saying we have a meetup.com presentation next week from Jonah Levine from Metis, right? So it's a different connotation, even though it's both virtual. Just by me saying the platform that's going to sit on, it seems to to change the context of the presentation, even though we're not using Meetup at all to do the actual presentation, right? We're using Google, right? Google Meet. By the way, Antoine, is it okay if we use your link again next week for the presentation?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it's I'll ask you for the link afterwards. So this is my point going forward is, yeah, we got to get away from the meetup branding. So I don't know what we call them, but I don't like calling just meetups, because it definitely, rightly, it's positive, negatively, it definitely has a connotation. So yeah, I think with this, moving forward, I think it was a different way of branding them, so that it just I don't know what we call them. It's like a learning space or something, right? Like it's not just a meetup event. All right, it's a DeFi Montreal or whatever event. It's our community event, right? It's not a meetup event necessarily. Meetup events, in my opinion, make sense if they're in person, right? They're in real life and you're meeting up, right? That's a meetup event. I think it's more a meetup event. Whereas this is happening virtually, so calling it a meetup event is kind of that's maybe it's a hang up that I'm having. But anyways, that's something that I've been thinking about. Thoughts, anyone, around those bullet points there?
No, that sounds good.
Awesome. All right. So yes, that's it for my topics for the call. Again, next week, if you do want to add any more topics to the call, we'll again, please go to that Notion site. If you don't have access to it, send me your email address, right? Either through Meetup or through Luma or or wherever. So you have once Antoine sets up Discord. Awesome, Guillaume. So thanks for the chat message there. Let's reach out to me, and we were just kind of talking about the different roles and who wants to volunteer to perhaps begin to fill in some of these blank spots. Awesome, and Antoine, look at that. You already got the Discord set up. So let's check it out in a few moments here. Looks like Antoine's already got it set up. So let's go kick it in there. So after the call, I'm going to jump into Discord. And so anyone, if you want to think about what you can help with, jump into the Discord and we can assign some more roles. Otherwise, we'll definitely be doing our chatting back and forth. So I'll follow up with you, Antoine and Bella, about the content creation stuff over Discord. No problem, Guillaume. All right. So before we wrap it up, just want to open it up now. It's 5:25. Is there anything else that folks want to talk about? Whether that's, ideas, feedback, timelines, that kind of stuff. Open to it now.
Like, it would be a good idea to discuss about the vision, mission, objectives, maybe to set them down, just to see where we are going and what to focus on.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with starting at the fundamentals. You're right. I talked about it a bit in last week's call, but I haven't frankly fleshed them out anymore. If you go to the Notion site, I started working on it there. So I would definitely recommend logging in there and then taking a look at what's kind of there already. what is what everyone I think it's very important that we're all aligned around that, especially like folks who are getting involved now. You're going to be part of the leadership team. It's up to you, right? Like if you want to get involved, you'll be part of the leadership team. If you contribute, you'll be part of the early contributor team. And if you just want to hang out and and be part of the see what it looks like to build these things, then obviously you'll be an early member. But for the folks who actually want to lead and build this thing, then yeah, definitely check out the mission statement and see if that resonates with you, right? And then I think we need to flesh it out, make sure everyone's aligned, because I just came up with that. That is, I'm not set on those things. And as we said in the call today, there's a lot of things that we could probably be better focused on, whether that's demographics or region or subject matter. And so I think it would be very beneficial to really, really iron out that mission statement and our values and the vision for this group before we go too far. Because yeah, it's a community thing, so it's not a Houston show. So yeah, I'd love to get feedback on that, because my vision may not be your vision, and I would like that if we're all going to be working together, that we're all of the same shared vision. All right, and also it has to be fun, right? So I think in my mind, like that's part of the vision. Like it has to be fun, right? Like no one's taking on this to make more work for themselves. But what really drives me, to be honest, is number one is I love the idea of creating community. Number two, I want to see how this DAO thing works, right? Like for me, like I'm kind of a doer. For me to actually learn something, I kind of have to do it. So yes, like I've kind of looked around on other DAOs before and kicked some tires, but like I need to build one to see how it actually works, to see where it breaks and where it succeeds, so I can really get a hands-on understanding of is this thing really the next iteration of corporations or group structures or whatever people are pitching it to be nowadays. Like, and I think this is a great testing ground for that. Maybe we're doing something very, very early here, and it's going to be revolutionary, or it's going to be disastrous and it's going to fail completely. But again, that's the upside, and that's the yeah, exactly. All right, so yeah, so check that out if I would, and I'd love to hear anyone's comments on those things, and maybe we can revisit that in our next week's call. Where it's posted, it's in the Notion site. If you go to Notion, and you go under, Notion is if you drop your email address. I think I invited you, if I would, to the Notion site, the link. Yeah, I did the link for Notion. Yep, here. I'll drop it into the chat pod.
Okay.
Share this link. Okay. Actually, whoever actually wants to get access to it, drop me your email address in the chat pod here, and that way I'll just invite you. Because if I give a general link, you won't have editing rights. So give me your email address, I'll invite you. This way, this website's really meant, the Notion site's really meant for contributors and the leadership team, because it's a working, it's a site to edit our documents. So it's not intended for the public, just general group. I think I already invited you. It's under I sent it to your gmail.com account. Yeah, you should have an invite already.
Oh, it's the same. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if I would you too, I sent it to your Hotmail account.
Okay, I will check. I will check it.
Yeah, let me know if you can't find it. Otherwise, I'll send it to you again. Okay. Yeah, Guillaume, let me know your email address, then I'll send you the link. I'll invite you. Okay, so good stuff today. Any other comments or feedback points?
I think it's a good place to start. It's lots of, we did progress today.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we got a lot of good contributions today, a lot of good back and forth. So I appreciate everyone sharing their ideas and their feedback. This is how it begins, We're still socializing the idea of this DAO, but I think what's important now is that we begin to grow that community, right? Like that's the most important thing now. Like that we create content, we create value. If that's helpful, that can help people, right? So that we grow our community, we grew our community organically by creating things of value versus being parasitic and just trying to, extract value out of people by using Facebook ads and that kind of junk. Like, let's actually try to create valuable content that people can use, create valuable connections that people like, right? So that these things grow, like this, people have a reason to join and stay. And then when we actually create the DAO, we incentivize it with NFTs and tokens. That's just going to be cherry on the cake, right? That's like steroids. That's going to be the growth hack that's going to push this thing even further. For now, like, we just got to start creating the content and putting the buzz out there, so people know about it. They start joining the events, and we just keep getting better at doing these events and creating the content. Because right now, obviously we're brand new, so we only have 111 members on Meetup. But again, right, like, I don't think we need to define our numbers based upon the number of members in the Meetup side, right? Like that, I don't think that's a good reflection, right? Like, let's find a better way of capturing what our community is. It doesn't have to be just 111 Meetup members, right? It could be things outside of Meetup, right? So how do we do that? Is it email addresses? Like, what is it, right? So is it people that sign up for our stuff? Like, maybe in the end, maybe we have a newsletter, right? That people can sign up to. Maybe you have 1,000 newsletter people. Maybe there's a paid part of the newsletter. I'm just spitballing things, right? But you can see, like, like, this thing definitely can expand and should expand beyond meetup.com. That's a limiting factor for the group. So there it is. All right. So if there aren't any other comments, then let's wrap it up here. Thanks, Aaron, for joining. Really appreciate everyone's participation today, and enjoy the weekend. And we'll talk to you again next week. I'm going to schedule it, if it's okay, for the exact same time next Friday. All right, since everyone's here already this time, I'll set up again at the exact same time.
Sure. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks,
and we'll go check out. Yeah, you're welcome. Check out Antoine's Discord. Let's go check it in. Let's try to break it. Get him. See if he needs to fix anything. So jump in there now, and I'll jump in there now, and we'll check it out.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Good
Talk to you, and gals. Talk to you on Discord.
Thank you, Houston.
Bye for now. Hey, Antoine, can you send me the recording when you have a chance?